All right. Well, good evening, everybody. I'm just changing out some formatting right quick. There we go. Yeah, it's better. You got Willow in the background. She's kind of regulating. So make sure everything is getting shared, getting started, and then we're going to dive in. So I've got a few topics to go over tonight, and really just kind of well recap the past decade, if I'm being honest. Yeah, I think that's what we'll do tonight. While Willow chews on on a bone. Make sure that I'm live everywhere else. Cool. Good. Let's see. All right. So I was working on finding out how to actually stream with TikTok, and unfortunately, I just wasn't quite successful with it yet. No, it is what it is. Let me go ahead and get some banners going. Let's get your comments, questions in chat, and actually, I will be right back. All right. I guess these settings are just going to have to work how they do. All right. Need to make some posts here. All right. Just going to be getting my hashtags up and going. So I apologize for the delay. Now, one of the things that I'm going to start with is that last week was our 10th anniversary in real estate investing. And it was awesome to celebrate the milestone. Really cool the fact that I was able to do that in Orlando, speaking at a group of real estate investors. Some of them in there were me 10 years ago. And it was just, it was humbling. And at the same time, it showed me just how far our journey has taken us. So if you'll entertain me for a second, I can share with you how it started because sometimes people might see you on here, but still not know the story behind it. It was 1979, October 22nd. It was a cold fall morning. No, it wasn't. So, anyway, let's not go all that far back. We're going to go to, let's say, 2015. Right? That's really where it kicked off because it was right after Christmas. I got back and I realized I wasn't necessarily fulfilled with what I was doing. I didn't really have that much of a retirement plan. So that job that I had, it was a good job, right? Just wasn't great. The sense of fulfillment was go get leads, close deals, but you're saving other companies money, and that's cool. But again, I wanted something that was a little bit more fulfilling. So I put my resume out. I was never afraid to quit a job. And lo and behold, on Monster, I think it was Monster Indeed, one of those job sites, I get a call from a company and they said, "Hey, look, we represent X company and this is what we do. We would love to talk to you about joining our sales team." So I did. I had a conversation with them about going into the sales team. And the only thing that really kind of threw me for a loop was whenever they started to say, "All right, fantastic, we'd love to have you. Now, only thing that you've got to do is buy the program to be able to sell the program." And I thought to myself, Yeah, let me get back to you on that. So at that point, I go and I hop on Google and I start checking out this company. I'm trying to look at them on what is it, Glassdoor, some of these different companies to review these sites. What's it like to work there? And then just some standard Google reviews about the company. So I go and I look it up, and one of the this guy, I even talked about him earlier today. He changed my life. Never knew him, couldn't remember his name if I had to. But one of the things that he said 10 years ago was that this is a great company. However, you're not going to learn anything here that you wouldn't learn at your local library. So, in essence, he was telling people save your money. Don't go and buy this course. Well, that's when the idea just kind of struck. All right. If I'm not going to buy a course to turn around and sell a course, I could learn how to invest in real estate. And I found this course. It was online. It's on YouTube. Phil Putiovsky is how you pronounce his name, I believe. But he's known as Freedom Mentor, and thefreedommentor.com is his website. So I'll forever give a plug to his company because the content that he put on YouTube for absolutely free, that is what changed our lives because it gave me the knowledge to help me pass the threshold of being just too scared to take action, to do anything. So after about 3 months of watching his content on YouTube and just learning and speculating how to do this, how to do that, how do we calculate this, that, and the other, I remember that I got there, finished it that night, and I remember shutting my laptop and I looked over at my wife, Catherine. And I said, I think I want to take $1,000. And out of that $1,000, I want to buy some bandit signs, which are just basically those signs that stuck in the ground says, "We buy houses." And I'd like to do that and start wholesaling, see if I can make some money. And it was amazing because this woman looked at me and said, let's go to the bank, see what it would take to get a loan. And if you were in Orlando, if you heard me speak, I'm just going to go ahead and share with you that that was kind of laughable. Um, because when my wife met me, I had a 450 credit score. Okay. And I know that because that's what the guy at the car dealership told me in front of her. I don't know if his intention was to embarrass me, but to be honest, I'd embarrass myself by having a score that low. And I don't know why. Even to this day, she hasn't told me why. I mean, I guess it's just my charm. Why she co signed for me on a 30% interest rate car loan. I don't know. With that being said, it also led to another conversation. And the other conversation was that if we were going to be serious about each other, that I had to get serious about myself. Damn, that kind of hit. So I didn't know what to do. I just told her, I said, here's my checking account. You tell me. So she did. She put me on a budget. And she's like, you do this, and this paycheck goes to this bill. This paycheck goes to this bill. This is what we do. And in 6 months, we're going to refinance this Nissan Xterra, is what I had at the time. We're going to refinance it with a local bank, and it's going to be a better interest rate. And we did. We went from 30% to 7 in 6 months. So that was huge. Fast forward, that was in like 2009, right? Fast forward to 2015, I'm sitting in the bank, Barksdale Federal Credit Union, Shreveport, Louisiana. And I'm meeting with the one, the only, the awesome Deanna Geisler, and had no idea what I'm doing. But I walked in there. I've got this personal financial statement that has this amount on there of what we own, which, to be honest with you, was mostly Catherine's 401k. That was the biggest value. And we sit there and we have a conversation with Deanna. And this woman decided to take a chance on us. She goes through the process, they get it approved, look at all of our financials and everything, and they approve us for $150,000. Now, out of that $150,000, I was able to go and buy 5 houses at $30,000 a piece. I could buy 3 houses at 50. I could buy one house at 150. But that's what they gave me to work with. All right, now I just need to go out here and negotiate, right? It was really. Oh, Willow done got in trouble. All right, going out with your
No,
mama,
she's
baby.
got a phone. That's fine.
Yes, that's what she's chewing on. Yeah. Sorry, everybody. So, Kathy came in here because Willow is just having a good time. We get her these little antlers that have stuff in it. She enjoys them. So back to the thing. They gave us $150,000. So I went on the hunt of looking for a property, and this property that came up, it was, I mean, not anything dramatic. I mean, it wasn't the best property you could have imagined for $150,000. But what we did have was an awesome realtor. And to this day, we're friends 10 plus years later. And Matt Stevens, he was over here showing us this one house across the street from the house that we ended up buying. It was a 3 unit, and we knew it needed work. We walked through there. It didn't have any damn floors. So all that, we walked out, and we had looked at a number of properties at this point, and it was kind of a point of frustration. So Kathy, she walks out and she sees this house across the street. She's like, why can't we just find a house like this one? That's a great house. And Matt looks over at it and says, well, it's on the market. Looks it up, and lo and behold, this was a duplex. We knew, by the way, that we wanted our first property to be a duplex because I wanted multiple doors so that if one goes vacant, it's still servicing the debt. Okay, so that was kind of the logic behind that. He looks it up, and yeah, it's a duplex, 2 units. However, the realtor that had it listed made the mistake of putting it as a single family home in the MLS, which means that a lot of people that were looking for multifamilies didn't even see this one, never even hit their radar. Advantage to us because other people that were looking for single families saw that and were like, I don't want 2 units. Ooh. So they were asking $93,000 for this duplex. And the really cool thing about that is that I go in and I make my calculations. I'm like, all right, if I do 10% for vacancy, management, maintenance, and then I hold back for taxes and I hold back for my mortgage, I hold back for my insurance, I could offer $70,000, the most I could give them. $23,000 discount's pretty good, especially for that property. Well, they accept our offer. It was kind of odd. So I was surprised. Hey, look, I'm not going to question the gift horse or look a gift horse in the mouth. We go into contract, we get the inspection, and the inspection comes back with some other stuff, right? Looking back, really looking back, that was just me being unfamiliar with properties because there was this one item on the inspection report where the sidewalk was a little bit lifted, not only that much, and noted as trip hazard. And I was like, oh no. So I go back in and I tell them, I'm like, hey, I need another $3,000 off on this house. And they relent. They actually approved the reduction. Come to find out, the owner of this property, he had inherited it from his grandmother, and he didn't care to be a landlord. He was just doing it. And at this point, the tenant in the front unit had wore him out, took the joy out of it. He no longer even wanted it. So he took that, and we continue with the deal. It appraised for $104,000. So great equity day one. Now I will let you know that this is where it gets a little bit crucial to the story because back then Barksdale would allow you to purchase a property, and you could purchase a property based on loan to value, right? So as long as I negotiated well enough, they would give me 80% of the value of the home. Well, I said it appraised for 103, 104,000, right? And that means that they would have given me 80 something thousand dollars, 80 and change. But I'm only under contract for 67. So we were able to not only go there, sign paperwork, and then give us the keys to this property. We didn't even have to bring money out of pocket. That's a pretty good deal. I like that. Well, we had found another duplex about 5 streets north of where this one was. and we had closed on that one in May, early May. But April 24th, 2015 is when the game changed. And yes, it is still one of our favorite properties. Mainly Catherine's because that's her baby. She found it, and I found this other one, which was about half the price of the other one. So it came with its own challenge. But every single acquisition that we've had over the years has taught us lessons: how to be better landlords, how to be better investors, how to watch for some of these unexpected costs. So I was able to share that story and, well, able to share it with you tonight. A lot of people, they hold back from getting started in real estate because they think that it takes money. We started with $6,000. And initially we started with $3,000 and realized that wasn't quite going to cut it. So we ended up seeding another $3,000 into that. And we've never looked back. There have been days where it has had its frustration, where we have fought, argued, cried, shouted, you know, and wondered why we even started. That being said, now we know why. Because it went from those two properties to learning about leverage and building out and growing into a larger portfolio. You see, whenever I tell you that Matt helped us get started, he was instrumental with it because bought those properties. And then in June of 2015, Deanna calls me and says, Lee, I got some bad news. The bank can no longer, or the credit union can no longer give you loan to value on your purchase. Now it's loan to cost. So you're going to have to bring 20% down minimum on any property that you buy, no matter how well you negotiate. And I went, well, that kind of sucks. I thought I was kind of getting my feet under me on this. I thought that we were able to go out here and just build this portfolio and not have any skin in the game. Well, I found another way around it. And I hope that you can pick up what I'm putting down here. It's about leverage. And my mother, when she passed away in 2014, she had left us, my sister, with acre or attractive land. It was acreage, and left me with equal acreage. I'd rather have her here than the land. That being said, I found a way to leverage it. I went to Deanna and I said, hey, look, I've got this 19 acres in Natchitoches. Could I possibly create a line of credit with Barksdale? And then I would just purchase the properties cash. If you guys give me a line of credit against this land, then I could come up with the cash to buy the properties. And if I do it right, I could still refinance my money back out. Because if I negotiate well, then I'm not going to be penalized for that, right? Because now instead of purchasing, I'm refinancing. Two different terms when you come out there talking about these properties. Indiana says, Lee, yes, you can. Let's do it. So they did. They send out an appraiser. They appraised the land in Natchitoches, and they gave me a $77,000 line of credit. I wish I could remember exactly if it was like 77.1 or 77.7 or anything. But anyway, it's semantics at this point. We established a line of credit, and I didn't find any deals there for a little while. We were looking, but didn't quite find one. And then one day, Matt gives me a call. Hey, I've got somebody that called me that wants to sell this 6 unit over in Highland. Would you be interested in it? And I'm like, oh, well, hell yeah. Let's see what we can do. And it was a fourplex in the front and it was a duplex in the back. The fourplex were all 1 bedroom, 1 bath units. And it was this historic building, beautiful building. In the back, the garage had a downstairs studio apartment. And then upstairs was a 3 bedroom unit. And that's where the owner was actually staying. So the owner, one of the great things about her is that she had also inherited this property. She did not want to be a landlord anymore. She had one tenant below her that was a nursing student, and they were about to leave. They were about to graduate, go out, save the world. Then she had this other person, an artiste, in the other unit, and he hadn't paid rent in like 3 months, but he kept promising that he would do this, that, and the other. He never did. Well, I run my numbers, and she had wanted $300,000 for the property, and it just quite didn't make sense because there was, well, one unit was running vacant. She occupied another one, and then I've got a tenant not paying over here. What do I do? I'm going to have to get rid of that tenant. This tenant's leaving, and well, whenever you get your money, you're not going to stay. But we did work out a deal. We ended up settling. I think I offered initially like 210,000. They asked for three, offered 210. We settled on 224, and that was a solid win because what happened was this guy, he knew somebody else was coming. He wasn't going to be able to just freeload, make excuses, and not get there anymore. So he left before we even closed. And then the owner, she actually rented back from us, and I want to say it was 900 a month is what she was paying for, I think, 3 months. And that gave us cushion. Because at this point, we refinanced our two duplexes all into this package because that's where I'd met another banker. And they set us up with a larger line of credit because of the equity in the first two properties that we bought in Prospect and Merritt, plus the equity in this deal. That was a good win. So now I've got, I think it jumped to like 130 something $1,000 line of credit, which now we're able to do a couple houses, couple rentals. We can flip a house, all because we access capital at that point. And that's where the game changed. Because now, and I can still remember every month for those 10 units, I wrote a check 230120 to Community Bank every single month. Over the course of 2 years, the following 2 years, we acquired other single family homes. We bought a couple of those. We started flipping, and that's when it got interesting because Community was just refinancing as fast as we wanted. So I love that. I didn't have to actually wait and let the title season. And for any new investors that watch this, I want you to understand that just because this is my story doesn't mean it can't be yours as well. You have to find a way to make these components work. I'll go into that in a little bit. Community really helped us open the door into getting more units because the goal from day one was this guy Lewis in our investing group. He was instrumental. Number one, he wasn't a naysayer to our dreams. He was like, "You can do it. You've got to get out here. You've got to take action, and then get to 10 doors as quickly as possible." Because at 10 doors, he said that the magic happened. So where now you've got enough cash flow coming in to where if one property goes vacant, it's not a big deal. You don't have to feel so much pressure to go put a bad tenant in place. And well, that's how we jumped into it because the goal at that point was to just say, boom, get the 10 units. Hell, once we got to 10, I wanted 20, right? So go out there and we start negotiating, make sure it's all going. And over the course of that time, the running joke, because Matt couldn't tell you how many times he probably rolled his eyes at the offers that I asked him to make on some of these properties for us. The running joke is that I should have on my other arm lowball Lee tattooed across it because I'm not afraid to make an offer. And I make an offer based on the numbers, based on the repairs that I see, and that's it. It's not just out here trying to lowball people or anything else. It is a financial decision. So if you're out here and you're concerned that any offer that you're going to make somebody could be just too conservative or insulting, make the offer. You might surprise yourself at the yeses that you can get. So going back to it, Matt was amazing in helping us get these properties. He even brought us this one that was off market. And another thing that he would probably say if he's watching this, he's like, "Yeah, I'm so amazing that you fired me because in 2017, I got my real estate license." And a lot of that was just going around to start picking up more properties, do property management, do some of these other projects. Because at this point in 2016, I'd met the manager of managers, the final boss, the one that really took my desire for ever working for someone away. You see, I was at this company that I really enjoyed. I was doing inside sales, hitting all the goals, and I could really see myself being there until retirement. Until this guy comes in, and from day one, we just didn't jive. I don't know if it's because he had some superiority complex issues or whatever it was. We did not get along. Matter of fact, I'm ashamed, not ashamed, but I'm transparent enough to admit he's the only boss I've ever cussed out. Thought I was fired that day, but I digress. I didn't get fired. I did get a stern talking to uh, the next day. Yeah, I still didn't care. I was checked out at that point. So I knew that I had to get out there and I needed to find a change because I was not long for that job. So here comes my real estate license. I study it at night, go get it, and then fired Matt. Well, at that point, I'm working to build up my business and make this happen. Oh, Jurgen. All right, man. Give me a shout. Sorry, I just saw where a buddy of mine, he's actually in town. So going back to where we were at, needing to get out there and make it happen. Well, during that time, over the last 2 years, I had really cut my teeth, right, in property management and learning how to deal with tenants. Because my first couple run-ins with tenants were one, Kelly. I'll not say her last name, you know, but she told me that nobody would ever get what we were going to ask for this two-bedroom apartment. She's like, "No, I'm just going to move." Like, I completely understand. Take care. And she was paying 500 for a two-bedroom house, hardwood floors, beautiful house. She was paying 500, and I knew that the market rent was 700. And I told her, I'm like, look, I'm going to take you up to 550 for 6 months, and then I'm going to take you up another 50 to 600, and we'll stay there for at least a year. She had a complete conniption fit about it, and I get it. It's not for everybody. I did have it rented for $720 or 725 within a week of her leaving. So I would like to think that I was correct on that. All that to say, I had my run-ins with tenants, had frustrations. I had plenty of scars on my hands from learning how to change out toilet kits and light fixtures and all the fun stuff of being a landlord and doing the grunt work. It's not that I ever wanted to do remodeling. I mean, trust me, if you know me, physical labor, not my bag. Had enough of that whenever I was a kid. So I knew that I wanted to hire contractors as quickly as possible. However, I needed operational knowledge of where's a contractor shortcutting? What did they do wrong so that I can tell them how to correct it? I had to learn these things. So a lot of YouTube later, a lot. I'm able to go in there and change out toilet kits and do this and do that. So that sped it forward. So again, 2 years later, now my property, that College Street property, that sixplex that Matt had brought me off market, I had it stabilized. And I didn't think about it too much. It had value. Right now, I could probably maximize that on the sale. So I put it on the market and did. Remember, I bought it for 225, 224, and it was turnkey. I didn't really have to do anything to it. Then I turned around and I sold it for 300,000, maybe 295 at closing. But all that to say, what we did from there was we took the profit from the sale and we paid down the balance of that loan. Remember earlier I said 230120 was my monthly payment. Well, whenever you take your balance from, say 300,000, whatever it was at that time, and you eliminated the 224, and then you paid off one of your properties, I think there was a $35,000 balance. I remember that part left on the note. But now, because the initial loan got flipped and it's been paid down every month, the majority of that money was going to principal. I'm talking like over $1,800 to $1,900 a month was going to principal. So I was on track that within 2 years, that's going to be paid off. And that's where the game changed for us because I realized the power of going, and it's okay to take on debt. You want to be responsible and you want to pay it off as quickly as possible because there's a second level to it. You can actually go out here and you can pledge those properties to a line of credit. And the line of credit gives you buying power. The buying power lets you go pick up more properties, flips, rentals, all at once. Because the more money that you can access and that you can leverage responsibly, the faster your portfolio can. Now, I say all this because I did it creatively with some land that I had inherited. However, people just like you watching this can go out there and you can grow your own portfolio by accessing OPM, other people's money. Now, the thing about other people's money is that it's not free. Generally, a little bit more expensive than the bank. It's accessible though. You can still make it happen. Even if the point comes that you had to go and you or didn't have to, but you wanted to go and do a self-directed IRA, you could roll that over. I had somebody on here, it was last week, Matthew Calhoun with Equity Trust. Fantastic live, by the way. So go check that out. It shows you just how many points of leverage that you can implement whenever you're looking to get started. Well, that was two duplexes, so four doors that within another year, year and a half later, we owned outright. And it's really cool, right? There are there are a handful of situations in life that whenever I look back, I see like that was well, God looking out for us, right? Because I've gotten extremely lucky. I've also worked extremely hard to make sure that we were successful. One of the challenges that you're going to have if you take up real estate investing, if you decide this is the way that you want to build your family's legacy, you want to break these generational curses of poverty, you can do it. I hope that you really understand that you can do it. Can and will. I'm going to be honest, that's two different things though. Because not everybody that watches this is going to just jump up and say, "Oh, you know what? Yes, I'm going to go do it." They might say it, but until they really have that horrible day to where everything changes, it's just going to be a fleeting thought. So, let's see. All right. With everything going on, Amber, I think you are actually in the lobby, so you wanted to come up and talk about structuring lending terms. Yeah, that was a good stopping point. So we'll resume that here in a little bit. Let's talk about how to structure lending terms for that new construction project I have. Okay. Amber, do you have your camera on? Oh, yep. You're going to need to connect your mic and cam before I can bring you up on the stage. I don't know why it's requiring that, but oh, there we go. All right, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me if you're ready. All right, here we go. And Miss Amber, how are you?
Hi. Oh, oof, I
Good to
forgot to
see you.
blur out the background, but sorry, I'm at
Oh
home
no, no, no. Hey,
today.
everybody, she's into tennis. How you
Uh,
doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. I mean, not really, but it's been one of those hard days like you just described.
It's all right. Lie to me, lie to yourself, say you're doing great. Let's keep it going.
It's one of those it's always happening for you, not to you, you know.
That's
But
right.
I can't this is public, so I can't be too specific, but we ran into yet another snag for our new construction
Okay.
projects. And there was something that the bank who's lending on us, or the bank is only willing because it's supposed to be for 5 new construction. Right, that's what
Yeah.
we got the funding for, that's our obligation. The bank that we're working with, they said, "Okay, we'll start with 1 because you guys are new developers, haven't done new construction before, even though you've got experience over here. We'll do 1, but we want the, government entity," I won't say who it is, "to assign the rights to the funding that we got." Hi, Catherine. We want them to assign the rights to the funding that, Ready was awarded, for the portion of the
Okay.
what they were going to lend on. Well, the government entity that you and I both know has recently undergone a change of oh, I got country. They've undergone a change in
I don't have
leadership.
them a change of heart.
And yeah, so like they signed the assignment, and then the
Uh-huh.
new person came in and pulled it back, and then just said, "No, we're not gonna do that because that means that the government entity is going to absorb the risk and not the lender." So, this was it. This was the last piece, because we had the issue with it being an adjudicated property, and we had to go
Yeah.
find the green card from 1997. We had, the appraisal that came back at a fraction of the cost that we're gonna spend to put like, it's been 4 months of just everything, and then this was the last like, they were ready to push print on the documents to sign off on the loan, and they said no. So, me being the psycho that I am was like, "All right, well, what do we do? What do we do
Yeah.
now?" And they came back and said, "If you can come up with 50%, we'll still move forward with it." So I've
I just want to lay off some risk.
yeah, yeah, which it's still the government entity's money, so it's like I don't know, whatever. I'll do whatever it takes to get this
Yeah.
done and just get it done. So the same person that is helping us with the renovation projects, she's got an SDIRA and expressed that there was funding available that she'd like to deploy. So I'd like to present this to her.
Yeah.
So I was curious it was just when you just were talking about terms and how it costs, I was curious what terms would it be? Because she wouldn't be in a first position per se. That would be the bank. Um, and she'd have to agree to a subordination clause that says that
Mhm.
the bank gets their money first and then she can get hers, um, which I think is fine. But I don't know, like duration, interest rate, all that good stuff. Because the ultimate goal, like the big exit strategy and like the only way that this works with government subsidized housing projects is we refinance the full 5 properties, pull the equity out, and that's how we pay off the loans. And then as
Okay.
time goes, and we only pull them out at like a 50% LTV because the amount that we're gonna be able to charge in rents, we wouldn't be able to get the typical 80% or
Yeah.
whatever,
You got
because
to keep the leverage point low.
yeah, yeah. Um, so that's the ultimate goal. That's the ultimate exit.
Yeah.
We want to do in about a year to pull out all that equity. So I was just curious your thoughts on like if you were a lender of sorts,
Looking at that.
what terms would you be looking for?
So I've got a guy right now, and this was his first private money loan. Connected with him, it was last Friday, and he's looking at doing a loan. And we had a 45-minute conversation centered around something like this, except
Mhm,
for he was on the other side. He was the lender asking me what to do, in the situation because it's going to be a subordinate loan, right? So he's
mhm,
going to be in second position. I felt like he's taking almost equity risk without getting paid for that, right? I think his rate was like 12% for a second position loan. Just going to tell you market sensitivity right now, it's subject to change. This is as of 4/29/2025.
mhm,
But I've got people out here lending in second positions for 18% on an average. And for you as the borrower, I'm going to not tell you how to go against somebody, but more so how to negotiate for your terms, the ones that would be best. Number one, have a conversation with that person and say, "Hey, is your SDIRA? Are you all right doing subordination? Are you able to do mezzanine, or are you comfortable doing that?" Whenever they say, "What's that mean?" If they don't know, have a quick. I'm talking as if you needed to explain it to a 12-year-old. Have a quick synopsis of what that looks like and how to share it to them, right? Because confused buyers, and in this case, they have to buy your story. They have to buy what you're selling, which is a second position loan. Confused buyers say no. I could bring the best deal to you in real estate. I can say, Amber, this house is $5, and it's worth 25 million. And if I'm just confusing you as to all the complexities of how it's this and that and the other, very well might lose the client. Now, maybe not over $5. Some people just say, that's $5. But the point stands that you're going to want to be able to educate them in a way that doesn't make them feel stupid. And once they understand it, oh, yeah, all right, I would be comfortable with that. But also let them know, hey, look, just because you're in second position doesn't mean that you don't have any security in this property. You still get this. You might have to remedy first position to push through if I were to default.
Mhm.
However, more than happy to show you with cash flows, et cetera, why we have the money to pay you for this, and we're able to offer a higher interest rate than what you would get in first position. Secondly, I necessarily wouldn't offer 18%, but see where her tolerance is. See if she says, well, yeah, I would do it, but ooh, could you pay 12%? I think I could make that work. Right? Because now you're able to have that. So I wouldn't say throw out the first number. And I would present it like that. Have an easy way to explain what their lien position is, what protections they still have. And you could even do another one like a personal guarantee if you wanted to, if you needed to sweeten the deal. All right. So if you put a PG or personal guarantee on it, that could be another way to give them the warm and fuzzies about the deal.
Mhm.
Keep them protected.
What
Um,
about duration?
Duration's really I would set it for a 5-year balloon, because self-directed IRA, it sounds like they only want a nice steady return. So they might not be looking for points every 6 months like I do whenever I'm doing a fix and flip loan for somebody. The points help me to annualize my return. They might be completely comfortable just loaning it to you at 10 or 12% with no points. So you could go with that and ask her, it's like, hey, how long are you comfortable having payments coming into you on this deal? Would you like it for 12, 24, 36, or even 60 months? Right. And then you could work in a couple options like prepayment penalties. Let her know that you'll at least, you'll do a 5% prepayment penalty if you pay her back within 2 years. So those are all things that let her feel comfortable about her money being out there working. Because an investor, if we're putting money to work, we don't want it just to keep coming back a month later. It's a waste of time and energy to underwrite these deals whenever I can send my soldiers out and they're out there working on me and making interest for me and getting other soldiers recruited to my side. To come back in 6 months, I like that. But to come back in 1 month and now I've got to find another deal and I've got to go put it back out. That's where prepayment penalties come in. And that's where I would offer that just to sweeten the deal.
Okay. And then points. What's your price per point and how many do you typically do?
Yeah. So let's not talk about my rates. No. So my rates right now, and this is purely based on supply and demand, right? I'm only meeting the market.
Understood.
Okay.
Mhm.
So in Florida, I'm doing 12-3 for any loan under $500,000. So it's 12% APR with 3 points. In Louisiana, it's 12-5. But also keep in mind that the market's a little bit more sensitive in Louisiana and the price points are lower. So for me to do a sub $100,000 loan, I'm charging 5 points because I still have to underwrite. I still have to do all the due diligence and everything else as if I would a $300,000, $400,000 loan. So those are a couple things just kind of keep in mind. But I like to make sure that I'm annualizing out for my investors around 18%. So
Okay.
like quick plug for my fund. For anybody that's out there, I'm actually offering, a targeted double-digit return. But by the time we factor in cash drag and turning the loans back out, any extensions, that's where I'm annualizing currently 18% on the low end. If you can offer anybody 12%, it's direct to them to where you're not having to factor in third-party fund administration or anything else, say go for it. See where it lands there. And maybe even say, would you be interested in 10% on it? Take on the debt at 10%. And if they say, no, I want 12, you're already expecting 12. But if you say 12 to start, they might say, well, I'd like 14. So maybe just kind of softball it. This is somebody that you play tennis with, right?
Yes.
Play her for it.
She will win.
Oh, good. All right. Well, get a handicap on it. Say, look, You
Play
got
with
to
your
give me a point
left hand
match.
only.
What's that?
Play with your left hand only.
Exactly. And then she tells you, well, I've been playing with my offhand all this time, but if you want me to play with my left hand, which is the dominant one, okay. And
That
I
would be
think that would be a fair way to structure it. If you
okay.
can go out there and create the win-win. And if
Okay.
she's like, no, I don't like any of that, simply ask her, what does a win look like for you?
Yeah.
Because she's already told you she's bought into the vision that you've got.
Mhm.
Well, I think that you're already one foot in the door.
I hope so.
And I know that you're going
Fingers
to get it.
crossed. Yep. Yep. Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Oh, anytime.
Oh,
If
Richard's
you
asking
need to
for the
go into like any more specifics, let me know, and we'll hop on a separate call. Just
okay.
kind of iron out some of those details, some of the documents you might want to offer her to give her more security.
Okay.
And please feel free to hang out with me. I was down here earlier just talking to myself, all by my lonesome, creating content. And Richard, well, good evening, number one. And yes, so explaining what points are. All right, a point is quite simply a percentage point. So if, let's say, Amber comes to me and says, Lee, I want to borrow $100,000. And I say, okay, great, you're looking at 12 and 5. And you'll hear that term a lot, right? So 12 and 5, 10 and 6, 10 and 12, whatever it looks like. Essentially, that is your APR, and then the and comes into the points. So, for example, come to me for a $100,000 loan. Let's say that you're buying a property for $40,000. You're going to spend 60 to fix it up. I'm going to say, okay, great. You're looking at 12 and 5, which means that you're going to borrow $100,000. So I'm going to get $5,000 just in the fees there, right? And that's the origination, processing, underwriting, a lot of those fees that are rolled into those points. This is where the rub is for a lot of investors when they get started. Because when you get started, you think that every dollar has to go in your pocket and has to make sense. But a lot of people, they start to kind of choke down whenever they think, wow, I don't want to pay that much. Okay, well, let's break this out. So I just had an investor. He was a first-time flipper. And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but Amber, I think you'll get a kick out of this. So his first-time flipper, he goes, I give him the loan for the project, and then he calls me up. He has me list the property. We get it under contract, and we get ready to sell. And these clients, the buyers, had beat him up a little bit on the sales price. They beat him up a little bit on the closing costs. So I'm sure that's familiar, right? Because we had a sale not too long ago where it wasn't the perfect offer, but it was a doable offer. No, well, Richard, real quick, each point is not necessarily $1,000, only in that example, right? So let's say that you borrowed $200,000. A point there would be 1% of the 200,000 or $2,000. But going back to the story, so he's sitting there and he's a little like fudged about it because by the time he gets his mortgage payoff and everything else, he had put 20,000 down, give or take. And we're talking through it a little bit. And I said, well, man, look, let me ask you. So you put 20,000 down, you got a little bit more out there. What do you stand to make? He said, $27,000. Okay, so let's look at this from a cash on cash perspective. You put out 20,000 in loan down payment, plus you did, let's just say another $20,000 in out of your own pocket because he kind of fixed the place up a little nicer than I would have, but good for him. So now he's out $40,000. He's going to make 27,000. So I said, look, let's throw that other 7,000 away. Just go on a cruise, do whatever. But you spend 40 and you made 20 in 6 months. So you made 50% on your investment, 50% ROI. And now you get to go do another deal. So you do another deal with that money again. And if you make 50% again, you've now created from $40,000 another $40,000, giving you a total of $80,000. That now, whenever you go to borrow money, you don't need as much from me. So now you pay less. And now you do it again. And your cash on cash gets stronger and snowballs every single deal. Girl, whenever that clicks, oh, he has been looking at deals now. So I love that whenever people start to understand that it's not necessarily the cost of money is the price of your business. And it's not always there to hurt you. But people, they're not philanthropic in most cases. You got lucky. To where they don't just say, you know, I love the project. See, you did. You got really lucky. Um, we're in it for the profit, you know, and by using other people's money, it's the game changer. Whether it be a hard money lender, private money like what you've got from SDIRA, and for anybody watching, self-directed IRA is what it stands for. It's when somebody's not happy with their 401k, they can roll over a portion or all of it if they want to, and then tell people what to do with it. You know, so it's pretty powerful when people start loaning that out. And well, whenever you're getting 10, 12% on your money, comes in handy. Let's see. Richard, I hope I answered your question earlier. And if anybody else has anything that they would like to discuss, please drop your comments in there. I did want to go ahead and drop this. If somebody wants a copy of the book, just go here to the website, pull it down. It's really designed for people of my intelligence, right? So it's easy to read. You know, I mean, I could sit there and sound it out over 30 minutes. It's a short read. But it does cover how to buy rentals, how to wholesale, how to flip houses. I would say check it out. Amber, what other projects are you working on?
Well, like I said, we've got our two renovation projects that we're so excited. They started demolition and have done all the framing. We do
Okay.
we're one of those we over improve.
I know. I've seen some of your stuff before. And I was like, girl, y'all move house around?
We do. Yeah,
I
we
need
do.
fiberglass, you know?
We do.
So,
We do.
yeah,
We want our rentals to not look like rentals. But there's
exactly.
still the only thing is like we just don't make as much on them as we could. We don't
Yeah.
go overboard, like totally overboard. But yeah, so it was really cool. We got that. We totally took it was one of those layouts where you have to walk through the bedrooms to get to the kitchen.
Yeah.
And there was one random room in the back that had like 11 windows. It was just a really weird layout.
A
So,
big sunroom in the back.
I mean, but you had to walk through the kitchen to get to it. And what was the point? It was closed off from everything. And it was like, the washing machine was in the kitchen and it just wasn't very functional. You could tell it was
Yeah.
built 70 years ago. So we just took all the walls out. We created like a hallway. So when you walk through, now there's like three separate distinct bedrooms. We added a powder room so that there's
Okay.
a nice good sized bathroom, and
Yeah.
also a powder room. So when you have guests over, they don't have to see your business.
Ooh,
It just goes
okay.
like
All right.
and then in the back, we opened up all the walls. So now that sunroom is going to be a living room. The
Yeah.
kitchen that the sunroom was off, we like knocked that wall down. The kitchen is right there. And then the dining room is in one of the bedrooms that was back there. So it's
Are
a
you keeping all the natural light?
yes, yes. Yeah, we're,
Nice.
we're closing most of the windows up because of the cost to replace them. It's more economical to just close it up, but there's so much light back there. It's so nice and everything. And yeah, they came in and
Yeah.
the state of things in our country right now, workforce wise, we're lucky to have some amazing guys that we've got.
Yeah.
So they're doing beautiful work. We see the framing is up and everything, and now we're ordering windows and doors, and we're going to get going. And then as they're finishing that, then they can roll into our other renovation project that we have. That's kind of the same thing. Like we just took all the walls out.
Yeah.
We completely reconfigured everything, so that we add separate, like just more functionality. Like a nice
Yeah.
laundry area, and it's not huge. It's not a mansion or anything like that. It's just really, really functional.
Okay.
And hopefully when they're done framing that one up, we'll get this new construction going and they can just
Have
roll
that
right
roll.
into that.
Yeah.
But the good thing is our community engagement that we do, the plant swap, because my grandmother, she does all those plants and everything. And so every year for Earth Day, we were having like come and get some plants and beautify the neighborhood and all that stuff. But we
Yeah.
had to postpone it because I was a little stressed. So we're gonna do a Mother's Day weekend, and we're calling it the Earth Day celebration, but Mother's Day edition because people need
Yeah,
something to do with mom, and they
okay.
gonna get her plants anyway, so they might as well bring her to this.
Are you going to have KSLA come out and do another segment on it?
No, they didn't. Well, we had to actually go to the studio to do it, but no, we haven't
Um,
invited them out. I don't know. I'm shy. I don't, I've done the extent of.
Girl, you're on a live stream right now with like 3 viewers. So
I
how
am.
are you shy? Oh my
I
God, so many
am.
people are watching.
I'm so sweaty, and I've also had some wine. I can't do that on TV.
Oh, that's well. So it seems like you do have a fan, right? So there's over on Instagram Live, somebody's asking, "What's your social media handle?" Amber? I'll
Um,
let y'all know she's married, so her DMs ain't open. But what's your social, if you don't mind people having? Because the follow up question is, do you post your work on social media?
yes,
And then another follow up question is, do you sell feet pics? Ha, kidding. I'm just playing. They didn't say that.
I don't want to see my feet right now.
I
Not
know I
with
got to
all
get
this
rid of
tennis
that.
I've been playing.
No, I think that they'd love to see kind of like what you have on social media as far as like the projects that you're working on and what you're growing through. So if you feel like sharing that, put it into the chat.
Eh, do I put it in private chat or comments?
Comments would be great because it'll push it out.
Uh,
And
Catherine said we wild. I'll blame
oh,
you.
yeah,
Oh, I'm not on YouTube, so I'll put it here if you could add it,
yeah,
please.
yeah. And by the way, so Haley Marie Atkins, she actually just bought a flip house in Homer back in Louisiana. So congratulations and keep us posted on how that goes. I want to know, where, when, how, whenever you get it rehabbed, what were your challenges? What was the gain from it, right? What did you learn and enjoy about it? And also, I like the real side of it. So what pissed you off
Mm,
about
mm,
it?
mm.
Let's see. I'm trying to find. There it is. Private. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and post this. So if anybody wants to follow Amber, this is her handle on Instagram.
I think that's us on Facebook too. I can't quite remember, but it's fairly easy to find.
Yeah. Well, it's all right. By the way, did I ever tell you my turkey story?
No.
All right. So I figured this is kind of fitting because last week, whenever I was in Orlando speaking at the RIA, I I ended the story with this, and with Catherine saying that we're wild. I literally said this in front of a room of about 60 people. There's turkey, right? And this turkey had a little messed up wing, so it never really quite was there. It didn't let it fly like other turkeys could fly. And I always had the ambition of this field that it lived in had this one tree in the middle of the field. It was a huge tree. I'm talking like just stories upon stories tall. The turkey would love to have gotten to the just even the lowest branch to see what it looks like, right? Just to see what the view is once it has a little bit of a perspective, because a turkey, all it is in the grass. So until it gets to a clearing, can't really see much. Turkey always had the ambition. It had that little messed up thing. Well, every day, sunrise, turkey would go get a little bit of water for the day, get out there by the tree and start taking off, flapping that little wing, and couldn't quite get it, but it kept trying. This bull off in the distance of the field sees this turkey. He's like, man, guess I'll go over there and help it out. So the bull walks up to the turkey and says, hey, what'd you do? Turkey says, man, I'm trying to reach that branch right there so I can see more about what's going on. The bull says, you know what? I think I know what you need. Turns around and does a little patty drop, right? Turkey looks at it and says, what you want me to do with that? Bull says, it's got nutrients. So if you eat some of this, you're going to get the strength to be able to flap and reach that lowest branch on the tree. The turkey says, man, get out of here. I ain't going to do that. The bull says, suit yourself. Moseys on around. Keeps it moving. So the turkey, again, goes back to the task at hand. He's sitting there just flapping and trying to get there, and he can't do it. Finally, in maybe a moment of desperation, the turkey looks down at the patty and says, who's going to know, really? Takes a couple pecks of it, right? This bull crap. And, well, lo and behold, turkey starts to feel a little stronger. Says, you know what? I don't think I can do it. So it goes and it takes a run. And then it's flapping that little wing. And it gets to the lowest branch. So now the turkey's sitting there saying, you know what? This is great. Now I can actually see some of this field. But if I could reach halfway up, I could see further, right? So turkey plops back down, gobbles up a little bit more of it, and he goes and gets that run and start again. Flaps that little wing, finally gets airborne, and it reaches the middle of the tree. And that's the cool thing, right? Now I can see even further. There's a stream out there at the edge of the field. It's just like, wow, this is great. Man, I tell you, to be able to, now it sees the branch at the very top of the tree. It says, you know what? I know I can see this entire valley if I could just reach the top. So at that time, the turkey jumps down there, looks, nobody. Gobbles up the rest of it, every little speck that he can get. Now it feels like Popeye after eating spinach. I mean, that wing is just going already. So he backs up the furthest that he ever has, gets a longer running start at it. And I mean, he gets airborne. He's flapping. He's reaching, he's flapping. So finally, he lands. And he lands on that top branch. Now, turkey, very accomplished, with a little bit of nutrient, has been able to accomplish the goal. Is now at the top. Just admiring everything out there, right? Seeing everything and just, wow, it's beautiful. Except for what he didn't see was there was a hunter that came out from behind the tree line and saw this turkey flapping his little wing and get up there to the top of the tree, and now it's just sitting there looking. So the hunter says, guess it's dinner tonight.
Oh, no.
Kills the bird. Bird falls out of the tree dead. Now it's a meal. And I tell people that there's a moral to the story. And Amber, can you tell what the moral of the story is? You want a spoiler?
Sure.
All right. It's quite simple. Moral of the story is bullshit might get you to the top, but it will not keep you there. I know. It's seriously, it's such a crude story, but one of my favorites. Because how many people have you seen that have taken the BS path, right? That come, go, and wash out.
Yep.
So I want to leave you with that story, mainly to give you a little bit of inspiration that while you're growing through this, I have a strong feeling that you're going to get through it the next time faster, and the next time faster, and the next time faster. So just don't be discouraged. Because one thing that I can tell about you, you're not on the BS. So stay with it.
No, BS would be easier. That's for sure.
It would be easier, but you see the fate, right? You see what happens. So don't do it.
Yeah.
But as we get ready to wind it down, guys, Amber, thank you for coming on and
Thanks
just
for
kind of
having me.
chatting with me tonight. Anytime. And guys, if y'all have anything that y'all want to discuss, please reach out. Grab a free copy of the book if you have questions and if you'd like to learn about real estate investing. It's, again, free. I don't even send you emails. That's probably my fault for not marketing more, but it is what it is. Yeah. So until next week, y'all take care.